Well, the weekend has begun, but all we can do is what we can do on this particular episode. For today, as you know, I did not do an episode to release for today, and of course, from yesterday, I decided, you know what, let's do this. I'm going to review, of course, the latest NXT Level Up. We're going to see who's going to level up on this particular day. And then, of course, we move on with the start of the annual tournament by New Japan Pro Wrestling, the best of the Super Juniors. That's right, it's back. We're going to see the best of those the junior heavyweight division. Not only that, we have wrestlers that are coming in from Noah and other parts of the world as well. And then, of course, we have two back-to-back AEW shows. We have, of course, Collision and Rampage. So anything could happen before then. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates, mostly with developments, and then one update with Stardom for a really interesting matchup coming next week. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, the factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe let's get started with our very first review. So let's see who's going to level up on NXT Level Up. Okay, NXT Level Up. It opened up with women's action. We have Ren Sinclair taking on. She's so damn tired. That's right. Wendy Chu is back. I'm so happy this year. Has been what, almost 8 months or so. I'm like so happy this year. She is one of my favorites to watch. Not to mention a very unique character. So you would think that this would be a very important match because we know she's been out for months. We ask ourselves, is there any ring rust? Well, I have to say she did a pretty good job, but she was able to pick up the win with a full Nelson slam onto Sinclair in order to pick up her first W in months. So I have to say, very impressive. Now, in the backstage, our interviewer Sarah interviews a new guy named Cutler James. Don't know who he is, but it was later foretold that he will be making his debut and he'll be facing Josh Briggs. Now, let's get to that because that was next afterward. Now, you would think that, of course, Josh Briggs, who is one tough SOB, he would have been the real decisive victory. Kind of did because, of course, Cutler James, he's the rookie. You probably would think, okay, he's the one with the least experience, the possibilities that he could eventually lose this match. Which, of course, it's no secret to me or to anybody if you pay attention. But unfortunately, he ended up being clotheslined by Josh Briggs, and then just like that, Briggs picked up a fantastic win. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the the family, more specifically Luca Crucifino and Shanning Stack Lorenzo, taking on Dante Chen and Dion Lennox. Now we know there's the possibilities that there is the chance Stacks and Luca could possibly have a chance to gun for the NXT tag team titles. That is something we could definitely see. But however, they got to go through two guys and they were able to pick up. I have to say, Luca and Stacks did pick up some good cohesion between each other, and they picked up a good win. All thanks to Luca picking up the pinfall onto Dion Lennox, and just like that, the family picked up a good win for them. So we'll pay attention to both Stacks and Luca if they do make their play for the tag titles. So we'll pay attention to that. But as of right now, let's move on with our next review, and this is from New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors. Now, those who are new to the channel, let me explain what this tournament is. This is where they have the biggest tournament ever for the best junior heavyweight competitors. Now, mostly we would see wrestlers mainly from New Japan, but we do have, of course, wrestlers coming from other promotions. We have them from Noah, possibly here in the States, even Mexico, that depending on where they can find them. Now, the rules are simple. This is not a single elimination match where, of course, one guy loses the match, he's out of the tournament. This is a point-based system. Now, the only way to this is how it goes. If they win, if the winner wins the match, they get 2 points. However, lose a match, you get 0 points. But if of a timing of a time limit draw, they get 1 point each. But there has to be necessary points in order to advance into the next round. So it's not the end of the world yet. Now, if once they're eliminated out of the tournament, they can still continue on regardless. So let's begin with our first match, and this is from the B block. We have Dragon Dia from Dragon Gate taking on Francisco Akira. Now, if you guys never seen Dragon Dia, I have seen him before. He used to wear a mask and he rides a skateboard. But yes, he is a fantastic wrestler. But however, he has to go out against the Fireball. But however, he got fireballed by Francesco Akira, giving him his first 2 points. So that means right now he won his first match. That means he's 1-0. As for Dia, he is 0-1. So it's still not end of the world for him yet, but we'll see where that progresses. Now our next match we have in the block A, we have Bushi from LIJ. He takes on from Noah Hayata. Now this is Hayata's first attempt. Hayata's not, he made it clear he is not here to represent Noah. He here is to take on the best of the best. And that's exactly what it did. If you guys never seen him, he can play both, like play clean or try to play dirty. But this time he played clean by applying the 403 impact, which is like a DDT ahead, of course, winning his first 2 points. So he has 2 points with 1 win and 0 losses. As for Bushi, well, he has 0 wins and 1 loss. So, like I said again, it's not over yet. Now back to B block, we have Ninja Mac versus Robbie Eagles. I thought this match was going to be good. Now, I'm a fan of Ninja Mac, even though I've seen him mostly in GCW or other promotions like Pro Wrestling Noah. But it was great that he was there. I think this was a perfect, suitable tournament. I'm not sure if many of the New Japan fans are well aware of his of what he does. But as you know, he is a very fantastic wrestler. But he was able to pick up a pretty good win against Robbie when he rolled him up, and just like that, he picks up his first 2 points. He is now 1-0. Robbie 0-1. Now back to A block, we have Kosef Fujita taking on Kanemaru Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Now, of course, Kanemaru is a member of those garbages, the House of Torture. You would think that his tactics would have played out. However, somehow Kosef Fujita was able to apply his finisher, Abandon Hope, Just like that, he picks up his first 2 wins, his first point with first 2 points, and just like that, it was over. So he is 1-0, and as for Kanemaru, 0-1. Our next match, back to B block, we have Drilla Maloney and Show. I like to call this match the BS match. Now you probably ask me, why do you call it the BS match? Simple. Show went up to Drilla Maloney and they swore they signed a contract saying this is going to be a clean match. Well, I can say this, it's a load of bull crap. You ask me why? I'll tell you why. He used the goddamn wrench again. Can you believe that? And I had to say, Maloney, why in the hell do you have to shake hands with that goofball? I mean, you're a killer. Show, he is trying to prove that he's the best. No, he's not the best. He's just a cradle crybaby and a loser. That's what he is. But I'm sure, I just hope Maloney gets his revenge against him. I just hope so. But I also hope Show does not win this goddamn turn. I just want him to lose the goddamn belt to whoever. I don't care who. I don't care if it's Ninja Mac. I don't care if it's Hayata. I don't care if it's Bushi. I don't care if it's Titan. Someone, please, take that goddamn belt off of him. Thank you. Moving on. Our next match, we have No Heart, Blake Christian, taking on Clark Connors. Now, me who knows Clark Connor as a member of the Bullet Club, you would think that his savage ways would have played a factor. No. Much like what we saw with Show playing dirty, he actually did play dirty when he applied. When the ref was out, he used a brass knuckles, then the stomp, and just like that, he picked up his first 2 points. And I forgot to mention, that's the same thing what Show did. So, hopefully he does not win this tournament. Next up, back to the B block, we have Doiki versus Taiji Shimori. Now, I want to put this out for everybody. My hope's the person to win. Well, he is one of 2 wrestlers that I would love to see win this tournament, and that is Doiki. Now, Doiki and Taiji Shimori, he's one of my favorites. Many people would have wanted to see him pick up his first win. However, that wasn't the case. He ended up being bloody crossed by Ishimori, just like that, picking up his first 2 points. But like I said, it's not the end of the world just yet for Doiki. Now, our next match, this is back in the A block, and this is a case of student versus master. We're talking about Kevin Knight versus TJP. Now, if you guys remember, TJP was an instructor in the LA dojo until he joined Will Ospreay's, turning his back on the young lions, and that was of course Kevin Knight, who was himself a young lion and no more. Now you would think that somehow the teacher will pick up the win. No, Kevin Knight has picked up very amazing momentum, and not to mention impressing everybody, not to learning from Kushida. Now you would think that he would use the hoverboard lock. Nope, he did not. He did use it, but it was not ineffective. But he was able to apply a spike DDT, and just like that, he beat the master. He beat the master, getting his first 2 points. So I'm very happy for him, and I think this was a pretty good one to watch. Now back to B block. We have Kushida versus Hiromu Takahashi. Now, for the record, we don't know what's going on with Hiromu. Recently, he's been losing matches. I mean, I just don't know what the hell is going on with him. I mean, this is very, very unprecedented for him. But he has to pick up a win. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case on this, because he ended up losing to Kushida when Kushida applied the hoverboard lock. And just like that, it was completely over. Now, our main event, we have, of course, A block. We have Titan versus El Desperado. I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, we know El Desperado has never won the best of the Super Junior. He and Doiki are my top 2 pick to win this tournament. I would love to see Despi win his first best of the Super Juniors. I think that's something we could definitely would agree upon. But unfortunately, he ended up in the Llave Immortal by Titan, picking up his first 2 points. And this was a major upset. I mean, he defeated a former junior heavyweight champion. So we'll see what happens from here on out. But as of right now, I think we are done with New Japan. Let's move on with, of course, AEW Collision. Okay, the Blackpool Combat Club, more consistently Claudio and Bryan Danielson taking on Top Flight. Now, this is a bit of a revenge after what happened last year. If you guys remember, there was like that whole thing for the trios belt, and Claudio was the last one standing who took on, of course, Dante Martin and Darius by himself, but unable to succeed. So you would think that this was going to be more of a match to revisit from that time. But however, the obvious question we ask ourselves, will lightning strike twice? Well, obviously it did not. I'm sure that they learned from what mistakes they made for this match, and I think it helped pretty well. Now, of course, the top weapon for Top Flight is speed. It was not enough to take them down, so that ended. But of course, with um, Claudio applying like a somewhat of a running European cut, and then onto Darius. I think it was Darius. Yeah, on Darius and picking up the win. Now, as soon as it was over, Bryan Danielson did a promo, but Claudio left in the midst of it. We will explain to that until we get to Rampage. So basically, we'll see what happens until then. As you know, Bryan Danielson, he is here to save AEW from the Elite, and we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have Will Ospreay versus Lee Moriarty. You would think this was going to be a bit good match. However, during the midst of this match, we did see Roderick Strong along with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. As you know, Will Ospreay will challenge for the international title at Double or Nothing against Roderick Strong. However, you would think that Will Ospreay would break the promise that he was never going to use the Storm, Tiger Storm, whatever it's called. However, he applied the Stormbreaker instead, picking up the win. Now, while this was happening, of course, at the post match, Will Ospreay got distracted. He got beat up by Shane Taylor. Payback for what happened last time. And of course, Roderick Strong is looking forward to see him be dismantled so he does not win the belt. I wouldn't be surprised if he did win it, but we'll get to that until Double or Nothing. Now, our next match, we have the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Teo Leona. They team up with Brian Cage to take on three other wrestlers, Evan Rivers and the Voro twins. Of course, this match was going to fall into, of course, the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. But of course, Tony Schiavone, well, they won by using a toss powerbomb onto Rivers and then picking up the win. However, Tony Schiavone wanted to talk to them in the ring to do a post-match comments. And then, of course, they call him a failed leader, and they say they follow, of course, the EVPs, which is the Bucks. However, their little interview was cut short with the arrival of Swerve getting a little payback for what they did to him this past Wednesday, and then of course he took all of them out all by himself. He tied up Teo Leona, and then of course used a brick cinder block onto Teo Leona, taking out Brian Cage, sending a direct message. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Daniel Garcia taking on KM. I don't need much of details on this one, but however, I can tell you that Daniel Garcia won by applying the Dragon Sleeper, and just like that, he picked up his win. Next match, I have to say, one of the most impressive matches. Dax Harwood, we hardly get to see him as singles competitor. He takes on someone who is the nephew of a legendary wrestler, the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. That's right. He is the nephew of the Dynamite Kid that we all know. So it's great. He is now living up to the legacy of his family lineage, and I think there's a lot of potential in him. Now remember, this is his first major appearance in a major promotion, which is good for him. So it's more like a sink or swim. But man, that match was pretty good. But unfortunately, it was Dax Harwood with a slinging power bomb and picking up a pretty good win, and not to mention showing respect. That's a good thing, and that's how it ended right there. Now, after what happened in Dynamite, we did see how the Elite were not too happy how things turned out. Okada decided to put his AEW Continental title against Dark Harwood this coming Wednesday. So there's that, and of course, we did see Jack Perry with his little pissed off mood, and then after that, the Bucks were confronted Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels, who tried to stop this whole madness, and then of course he had enough, and he got into their faces. He had strong words for them, but he did mention that he will put the Bucks on notice this coming Wednesday, so he will be in a tag match. So we'll see that coming up. Now, our next match, we have Thunder Rosa versus Robin Renegade. Um, Pretty good match. Thunder Rosa put Robin Renegade in a Cobra Clutch, picking up a pretty good, fantastic win. Now, our next interview, we have Tail Valkyrie versus Johnny TV. We will see them in Rampage. They talk about their opponents, so we'll see about that. And then finally, we have Hook sending a message to Jericho, so he will be returning. I think many of us are happy that will happen. Now, our main event is the the TNT title in a open cope challenge match at Adam Copeland versus Kyle O'Reilly. Man, it was a much intensified match you would have imagined. I mean, this was like a moment for Kyle O'Reilly back home in Vancouver, and I thought, what a great moment. I mean, I think many fans would have loved to see him win, but no, you cannot beat a veteran like Adam Copeland when he applied a spear, and just like that, it was over. We will continue about this and we move on from that. So right now, let's move on with Rampage. Okay, as we continue with AEW, now we switched over to Rampage. As you know, we did see the respect between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland let him have his moment, knowing that they were in Vancouver, Canada, which is O'Reilly's hometown, and he just bounced. But we did see a little later, of course, Adam Copeland declaring that he will put the TNT title on the line against Malachi Black, but this time it will be at Double or Nothing in a barbed wire steel cage match. Now, of course, the commentators were saying that maybe this is playing into the hands of Malachi Black, who is very sadistic and the master manipulator. So, whatever the case is, we will see what happens until then. Now, we did see Claudio walked out on Bryan Danielson. He kind of explains what was his reason to, of course, to Lexi. Apparently, he understands Bryan Danielson's reasons about this match, but the one thing that he cannot get off his mind is that he will be teaming against the one person that embarrassed him, and that was, of course, Eddie Kingston, someone that, of course, Claudio does not respect. And I think that's the thing. So we'll see what happens, but he is concerned that he wants Bryan Danielson to retire healthy. That's what he wants, but we'll see where that leads us. Now, our first match in Rampage, we have Trent Beretta versus Dalton Castle. Of course, Trent Beretta with his usual attitude after everything that he did, getting involved. I think there's one thing that's not been addressed by many people, and I like to say this. Why is it that Trent Beretta is not too, how do I say, concerned with the fact that Orange Cassidy is being scouted by Don Callis? I would have assumed that Don Callis would have wanted Trent Beretta, but for some reason he chose Orange Cassidy. And I probably would think that if somehow Orange Cassidy transformed to someone else, it would put Trent Beretta in a jealous mode. So we'll see what happens. But however, he did defeated Dalton Castle with a very impressive move. A very interesting submission move, and just like that, it was over. Now, Deonna Purrazzo, as you know, has her fair issues towards Thunder Rosa. She's decided to set up a message and of course she will be facing against later on what's her name, Lady Frost. Now our next match we have Brian Keith versus JD Drake. I think this was a very impressive match. Not to mention I'm a fan of Brian Keith. He is one of the most unique wrestlers, but one of the most toughest guys I've ever watched. I mean, JD Drake is tough. He's a blue collar wrestler. You would think that there's going to be a lot of intensified brutality in this match. Well, it did. It was Brian Keith that picked up the win by pinfall. Now, our next match, we have Deonna Purrazzo versus Lady Frost. Amazing match. I'm a fan of Lady Frost. I mean, when I think of Lady Frost, I think about Frost from Mortal Kombat. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm a Mortal Kombat nuthead, so you would say that. But it was very impressive. But, however, Deonna Purrazzo applied a new move that we never seen. But I think she got this move from one particular person behind the scenes. If you guys know who I'm talking about, we're talking about her husband, Steve Macklin. I mean, he did the exact same move just like that. So I'm sure this is a new technique that we haven't yet to see, but we'll get to that. And of course, as soon as the match was over, Thunder Rosa showed up with the chair. Security tried to stop her, but this is very, very out of hand right now. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, we did see a very impressive, very interesting musical number video by The Acclaim. I don't know what's this about, but I thought it was pretty good. And then we move on. As you know, Scorpio Sky is making his return. We haven't seen him for quite some time, but it's great that he'll be back. Now, our main event is, of course, Pac versus Johnny TV. Of course, Tail Valkyrie was going to be there, and of course, she's the X Factor to ensure that her husband wins the match. But unfortunately, that did not happen. She gets involved. Pac, I don't know what he was going to do, but Johnny misfired and hit on Taya. But later he applied a brutalizer onto him and picked up the win just like that. However, apparently Jay White hasn't forgotten what happened last time. He felt that Pac had no business getting involved in their business, so we'll see what happens after that. So we'll see. But as of right now, I think we are done with all the reviews, so let's just move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit. So let's begin with our developments. First things first, I want to give a congratulations to AAA star and former Reina de Reinas champion Lady Shani. It was announced by her on Instagram that her and her husband are expecting their first child together. I'm so happy for her. I'm sure she'll be leaving AAA to be on maternity leave, and of course it's still unknown when she'll be back. So nonetheless, congratulations, Lady Shani. Now, those who know, if you guys are big fans of Lucha Libre, you know that there's the chances of families passing the torch. Well, it turns out that Penta El Zero Miedo's daughter is now training in her father's school, and of course she's gonna be the next Penta, but this is the name they're calling, that he is now declaring to call her Hija de Penta El Zero. I think that's pretty good catching. Now, those who don't know what that means, Hija means daughter. Daughter of Penta El Zero. So basically, I think it's catchy. I like it. Now, you may have heard recently that Bryan Danielson's contract is going to be out real soon by the before we get to All In. However, this report came in, and now let me pull it up for all of you. This is what Bryan had revealed. This big one is Wembley. That is left on my wrestling checklist. I want to make it to Wembley. My contract actually expires before Wembley, but want to make it to Wembley, and I'm not sure if I'll make it. But one thing that I would be nice, a nice way to kind of close everything out for me to do my last match as a full-time wrestler, Wrestle Dream at Tacoma Dome. I have to say, if his contract ends with that, I think they could give him an extension or so to allow him to do those two events. I mean, being in Wembley, I think it's something that many wrestlers would want. I mean, it's kind of like if I was a wrestler, for me, if I want to wrestle somewhere, one of them would be at the Tokyo Dome. And I think many wrestlers, that's me, if I was in their shoes. But of course, Wembley and of course, Wrestle Dream in Tacoma, that is something we could see. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, finally, this one was mentioned on AEW. Um, I decided to leave this for last. You may have heard that next week Willow Nightingale will be making her way to Japan and she will be facing Tam Nakano and she will be putting her TBS title on the line. Now, some of you may question why. Now, personally, for me, I would have assumed that this match could have taken place at the Forbidden Door. I mean, we know that, of course, Rocky said we are expecting possibly uh, Tony Storm versus Mina Shirakawa if it's a possibility for the AEW Women's World Title. That's something that is still probably being discussed. And of course, Azumi, the possibility of her being there. Tam Nakano, I don't know why. I mean, I would love to see Tam come back to the States. We know she was here recently during WrestleMania week for a Stardom show, and of course, Sparks. So we'll see. But however, there's a note to this. This is the first time that an American promotion title is defended in Stardom. The last time this happened was when Mayu Iwatani was the Women of Honor champion back in 2019 for the Dream Slam, where she had defended the belt against Natsuko Tora. This is before Natsuko Tora became, of course, Oedo Tai Evil Look. So yes, so it's interesting now that we haven't seen something like this in 6 years or so, but it's very impressive to see. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, I think that's it pretty much what we have. So let's just end it right here. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode coming up. Now, as we speak, we should be having possibly another Best of the Super Juniors by New Japan, and of course, Stardom's latest show as well. I haven't seen the latest one on the 11th. I'm sure the one on the 12th that will probably be either later or maybe as soon as possible. I'm behind a few shows myself. I'm deciding which ones I want to do. I was unable to do Resurgence by New Japan. I may do that as well, but that's only until I figure something out as we go. I haven't seen the latest Choco Pro show. We'll see. So there's a lot of things I haven't covered yet, but we'll get to that at one point. But as of right now, I'll leave it as it is, and I'll wing it for the next day. But as of right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.